Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our launch of the Wilder Community Champions. I can't see you all, but I'm really, really pleased that you've logged on this evening, and some of you may be watching it later. So a really, really warm welcome from the communities team here at Sussex Wildlife Trust. Just a few bits of housekeeping before I introduce the team. So the first thing is this will be recorded. So if you have to leave early, or if you can't stay, or if you know of anybody who'd like to listen, then we will send the recording out. So if somebody signed up, we will send the recording out once it's finished. Obviously, we're in webinar mode, so there's no hands up, or we can't see any of you, so that's probably makes people feel a bit more comfortable about it being recorded. But if you do have a question, please pop it in the Q&A. So if you look to the bottom of your screen, in the bottom it should be there, you should be able to see a question mark with a Q&A. If you write your question in there at any point during the webinar, one of the team will be monitoring that question box, and what they'll do is they'll collate the questions, and at the end we'll try and ask the questions that have come up the most. If we miss any, what we will do is we will download all the questions, and then we will put a frequently asked questions sheet on our website. So if your question isn't answered later, then please do go and visit that. Everyone will get an email at the end of the after the recording, and all of these links will be on the post email. So don't worry about trying to remember too much. Okay, so I think that's all the housekeeping. Right, so I'll just introduce myself first. So my name's Polly Kitson. I'm head of Wilder Communities, or the Community Engagement Team at Sussex Wildlife Trust. And I have a fabulous team, and some of them are with us this evening. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to Jack Thompson, and he's going to tell you a bit about himself.
Hi, thanks, Polly. So yeah, I'm Jack Thompson. I am the Wilder Communities Officer for Sussex Wildlife Trust, one of two. I predominantly cover the west of the county, but for the Wilder Community Champions, I'll be looking across the whole of Sussex to try and help to support people. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks. And the second person I'm going to introduce you to this evening is Hugh Morgan. So over to you, Hugh.
Hi there, thanks, Polly. I'm Hugh Morgan, and I'm the Wilder Communities team manager. So I manage a team of 5 who are carrying out community engagement work across the county.
Thanks. Next we have Ella Garrud, who is, well, she's actually to my right, but obviously you can't see her. So Ella, over to you.
Thanks, Polly. Yeah, I'm Ella Garrud, so I'm the Wilder Communities Officer Coastal. So my job is entirely focused on the marine and coastal engagement along the whole of the Sussex coastline.
Thanks. And finally, Nikki Hills, who is our director. So over to you, Nikki.
Thanks, Polly. Yep, so I'm the Director of Community, so I head up our Wilder Communities team and also our Wilder Learning team.
Right, okay, so let's make a start on finding a bit more about our Wilder Community Champions. So if you go to the next slide, please, Jack. Here we go. So our Wilder Community Champions, at the moment, we have 3 roles for our Wilder Community Champions. There may be more. We may add to this as we go through, as we go on. Today, as the team have said, we've got Wilder Community Leaders, which Hugh will be leading, Wilder Community Campaigners, which is Jack's role that he will be leading, and the Wilder Beach Clean Leader that Ella will be explaining a bit about. They are a bit of a mouthful, these titles. We do realise that, but hopefully people will get used to them. Go to the next slide, please, Jack. So basically, I'm just going to give you a very, very brief overview as to why we've set these up. So why have we set up this idea of community champions? We there's a real growing demand for people to support people taking action for nature. We are incredibly fortunate. We are inundated with requests. You know, can you help us survey our green space? You know, can we volunteer? Are you able to help us dig a pond? We are really fortunate at the Wildlife Trust that people email us and ask us for support, ask for our support. But we are not, we cover the whole of Sussex, East Sussex, West Sussex and Brighton and Hove, and we are just not big enough to get a big enough team to go out to every single request. So this has really come from how can we support all of those people really enthusiastic and desperate to help wildlife when we can't physically go out to every site ourselves. So the idea is to empower, it's one of those words, but to empower people to feel confident enough to do something themselves, to give people some training and be part of a network. So we will hopefully, if you do join us, we will keep hold of you as a part of a network. We will be there, you know, in the background, but this is hopefully to make people feel confident that they can do this themselves. Next slide, please, Jack. So there's also a strategic demand as well. In 2024, we launched our Wild Sussex strategy, and within that, there are two areas that the communities team focus on: connecting 1 in 4 people in nature, and also to restore and protect 30% of Sussex by 2030. It's really important to us that we aim high with these focuses in our strategy. The 1 in 4 is a behavior, it's a tipping point in a behavior change, basically. So if 1 in 4 people take action for nature, that's a tipping point. It's a statistical tipping point. That is also one of the aims that most of the 46 wildlife trusts have in their own strategies. So it's one that all of the wildlife trusts have taken on board, as is the 30 by 30 one as well. So that's our strategic demand, is that we couldn't possibly reach 1 in 4 people in Sussex by going out to individual sites, but hopefully by networking with people such as yourselves, we can make a far greater impact. Next one, please. The other point is, as I've alluded to, Sussex is really big. Jack does the west of Sussex. He supports people in the west. We have somebody on our team called James who supports people in the east. Ella supports the entire coastline. And Hugh manages the team and supports with more of the central areas. So a larger team than pre our strategy coming out, but still not a big enough team to cover the whole of Sussex. So hopefully, as we've said, anybody anywhere in Sussex can join this group and these groups, and hopefully we can just have more impact in a much larger scale. Next slide. It's also the right time internationally as well. So the 30 by 30 target that we have in our strategy isn't a Sussex Wildlife Trust target. It's a target that is a central component of the UN's Global Biodiversity Framework, and it was adopted at COP15 in 2022 by 196 countries. So they all signed up to aim to restore 30% of what nature by the year 2030. So this is not, if you know, we talk about Sussex Wildlife Trust, but this is an international aim. So this is the right time for us to really galvanise communities to take action for nature. That's the next slide. So those are the 4 reasons, really. Everything came together at the right time. So these are the 4 reasons why we're launching these roles, and we really hope that they develop. We've obviously, you know, listened to people. We've sat in a room. We've developed what we think will be supportive to the community. But as we go through the year and the next year, and people join and people take part in the training, we're really hoping that we can co-create something new. So as we go through the year, when people do join us, we're really going to be looking for feedback as to what communities need, what training can we give, what expertise can we draw on to support communities. So we may not get the training absolutely perfectly right for you the first year, but like I say, if we can co-create training packages for groups such as yourselves or individuals as we move forwards, that would be absolutely amazing. Right, I'm gonna hand over now to Hugh, who's going to talk a little bit about the Wilder community leader role.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Polly, for that introduction to the training. So yeah, as Polly says, I'll be sort of heading up the Wilder community leader training and working with colleagues on that. And we've got 5 modules that we're going to look at, which hopefully will give a broad experience for groups, both established and new, and for individuals, and give people ideas of how they can get involved. So our first module, which we're scheduling for, I think it's October the 22nd. We haven't sent out details yet, but we've got that one booked in. We'll be looking at engaging your community and other landowners. And elements of that will include, in terms of engaging communities, looking at the benefits of social media, looking at whether things like taster sessions and certain times of the week are better for getting groups involved. Do we look at running things on weekends, the lengths of the sessions, the importance of setting clear objectives, explaining to groups and people coming along why you're doing the work, what's the benefit of the work, what's the purpose behind it. Simply things like refreshments. So, is that something that can be offered as ways of getting people involved? And also, Polly touched upon it then, the idea of I'd like feedback from groups out there as to what you found has worked. So I'd like this training to really act as a bit of a forum and a network, so that that people can share experiences, I suppose both good and bad, but any ways that you found, any tricks that you found to engage with the community, it would be great if you could share them. In terms of landowners, I think this might be slightly better pitched at new groups and individuals who are looking to get involved, because established groups will already have permission to work on, be it council land, parish council land, wherever. So new groups will be looking at the idea of how do you go about contacting, finding out who owns the land, what permissions are required, what do those landowners need in terms of liability, insurance, risk assessments, do they need a management plan, do you need to be a constituted group? Those kind of issues are the things that we'll touch upon in this one. Next slide, please, Jack. So funding your project, yeah, we have an excellent grants and funding team at the Trust, and we will be tapping up their expertise on that to get tips on the best ways for groups to go about applying for funding. Writing a successful funding bid, it's a tricky business, so hopefully we can get some tips from them that we can share as to the best ways to go about applying. And also what pots of money are out there now that might be suitable for small groups. I know that our Wilder Horsham project, their funding for £5,000 is just about to come back online on the 1st of October. So it'll be things like that we'll explore with funding, how best to go about it, and what's out there. Okay, Jack, next one, please. Managing risk. How do we go about running a safe session? What are the considerations we need when running a safe and enjoyable, practical volunteer sessions? Risk assessments. We'll be sharing the templates that we use here at the Trust to cover our work when we're out with volunteers, covering tool use and the sites we're working on, and things like daily hazard forms that we're producing on the morning of the event, because things can change, taking in weather conditions and that kind of thing. Looking at tool talks, making sure people are using the tools appropriately, and potentially dealing with some difficult situations as well. We'll have a little chat about how we can look at managing that. Next slide, please, Jack. Practical day on a reserve. Yeah, we don't have we're yet to figure out the location for this. I suspect we'll probably look at running one in the east of the county, and one sort of centrally, or at the west as well. It depends on demand, really. But this will be an opportunity for groups to come along and actually look at how do we run a practical volunteering session on the ground. Things to consider pre-task. What do you need to look at before we start on site? What's going on during the task? How are we managing the work that's going on, the safety of the group, the enjoyment of the group? And then at the end, what do we do when we finish the task? What are the important things we need to think about there? So yeah, that should be an enjoyable one. I'm looking forward to that one. Next slide, please. Okay, this is something that some of you may have been involved with in the past. We have Laurie Jackson, who some of you may well know. She's kind of seconded to the community team through some external funding to help advise groups on basic ecological surveying techniques using apps, iRecord and that kind of thing. How best groups can go about looking at what they've got on their sites, really. And obviously that can help very much feed into management plans and how the work is developed over the course of the year. So that again will be a practical, that'll be a hands-on one, quite similar to a course that she ran a year or so ago. And again, I suspect we'll run one in the east of the county and one in the west of the county. But that's something that I'm looking forward to again, and should be popular. So that sums up. That's a kind of very broad overview of the Wilder Community Champions role, and yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions around it. Okay, that's me. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Hugh. So don't worry too much if you haven't got a group, or if you have got a group, or if you're thinking about having a group, or if you're just an individual and you've just had this spark of an idea. This training, which will run through the winter and into the spring, might just be something that you're trying out. I don't feel pressure that you don't know enough, or that you've, like I say, that you haven't even identified a space. If this is just something that's sparking an idea, then please do consider signing up for it. It's not a test. If it doesn't work for you, or if if something happens and you're all volunteers, so yeah, please just do consider it, maybe just dipping your toe in. Or if you're an established group, like Hugh said, it might well be that you can help by sharing your experience of what you've done and what has worked and what hasn't worked, and that would be equally important to us. Okay, the next person to talk about their Wilder champion role is Jack. So Jack's going to talk about the Wilder Community Campaigner role, which was very much developed we have done a few of these things before in a project we had, which was called Wild Coast Sussex, and it was particularly inspiring for young people. But that is not the only people it's targeted to. It's targeted to anybody that is thinking of campaigning for nature. And I'll let Jack explain before I tell you all about it, and he hasn't had a chance to. So over to you, Jack.
Thanks, Polly. Yeah, so as Polly said, I'm here to talk about the second opportunity, which is Wilder Community Campaigners. And as Polly had mentioned at the start, there's there's both a growing demand from our communities in Sussex to take action for nature, and this is alongside that strategic demand as well throughout the trust for us to be able to deliver more and help to empower people to get involved with a wide variety of actions for nature recovery across the whole of the county. And so I feel like campaigning is a hugely important part of that. It's a really powerful tool that we can all get involved with from our different positions of power and local knowledge to create some meaningful change. But it can often be seen as a rather complex space to navigate. So our Wilder Community Campaigner training is essentially offering a series of both webinar-based and in-person training similar to Hugh's, on a variety of topics to help provide you with the tools to get involved with campaigning. And It's something that you can sign up to and get involved with as much or as little as you would like. Again, very, very similar to the leader's role. We really want to make this as flexible and manageable as possible, while still giving the necessary info to make campaigning a success. So our training offer includes support around a variety of topics, including an overall introduction to campaigning. So this will cover the different types of campaigning that you can do and you can get involved with, and also the various tools that you can utilize to run or participate in a successful campaign. So it's going to be a very sort of broad like I say, introduction to campaigning as a whole, and all the elements within campaigning for nature. We'll also give an introduction to local plans, which are a really important part of developing policies around local issues and getting involved with shaping your local area on a variety of different subjects. This could include, areas around development and ensuring that development takes place in the least sensitive areas for nature, and also provide spaces for nature and local communities for that local wildlife to be able to thrive in there. A whole host of other things as well related to local policies on things like climate change and sustainability, green infrastructure, water use, and all these sorts of things that make up our day-to-day living, that we're looking to enhance for nature and get that sort of that long-term strategy mapped out for how do we improve nature and recover nature in our local setting. We'll also be covering the huge topic of conversation around that one kind of key compound to life on this planet, which is water. So how does campaigning for water work in both of our freshwater and marine environments as well? And how can we pave the way for a cleaner, a healthier, and more biodiverse water ecosystem through things like greater protections, reduction in pressures that are facing the water environment, and then enhancing biodiversity and using things like nature-based solutions as well to help that water environment, and all the various ways that you can get involved with campaigning to help to address that. We'll also break down the fundamentals of how local government works. So how it differs from central government and the different ways of engaging with both forms, because they each have their place and different things that you can get involved with, consultations and all sorts of things that are just slightly different in terms of that local and central government. There'll also be information around things like devolution and what that means for Sussex from a nature recovery perspective as well. And then finally, we'll also be providing a couple of in-person campaign workshops on a sort of a first-come, first-served basis to just delve a little bit deeper into getting a campaign up and running and all of the fundamentals about that. So it'll be a really great opportunity to just sort of get stuck in and collaborate with others on campaigning, sharing some ideas and experience, alongside the workshop being facilitated by an environmental campaigner with a wealth of knowledge themselves as well. So that's the kind of the things that we have in the pipeline for the Wilder Community Campaigners role. And I've touched on a few different subjects. Obviously, there are other ones that we could go over. These are what we've got lined up, but I'm really hoping that we can also be led by yourselves, for anyone interested in getting involved with the campaigner role, for any sort of future topics that might be, that people might have a similar interest in, because we're really looking to sort of see what are those kind of key issues that everyone's wanting to get involved with, and they just need that little bit of extra information and a little bit of support just to get them along the way. So so that's a very quick summary of everything that we're trying to do with the Wilder Community Campaigners. So if anyone is interested in that, then please do get in touch. And that's me.
Thanks, Jack. And again, a little bit like the last one, you might not have a campaign. You might, but that might be the thing that you feel like you would like to contribute to nature. We have a calls to action group at Sussex Wildlife Trust, and we will be, asking and talking about our campaigns to those groups. So it may well be that you just want to be, involved in seeing how we campaign for nature, and that might be the way you'd like to contribute. So again, don't feel too worried if you don't have a campaign or you haven't got one, or you've not even thought of it. If you're just interested, not everybody wants to go out and do practical conservation work. There are other ways that you can support nature and nature recovery, and this is very much open to people who think, actually, I think that might be for me. So yeah, thanks ever so much, Jack, for that. And then the final one this evening is over to Ella.
Thanks, Polly. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you briefly about the Wilder Beach Clean Leader role. So the idea behind this role was to create a network of trained beach clean leaders who can run beach cleans up and down the Sussex coast. And there's a number of reasons why we think this role is important. So an obvious one is to increase the amount of harmful litter that we can remove from our beaches. And it will also increase the amount of important data collected. So not only are these beach cleans that we want people to run, they're also beach litter surveys. So we would be using the Marine Conservation Society Beach Watch survey method. And so basically collecting information about every individual piece of litter found on a beach clean. This then goes into a national database, which has contributed to things like the plastic bag charge, which has significantly decreased plastic bags found on beaches, and also the recent disposable vape ban. So that data is extremely important and is very useful for real world conservation outcomes. And this role also empower people to take action for their local coastline within their local communities. Next slide, please, Jack. So there will be, obviously, training involved for this role as well. So that will include comprehensive health and safety training, so how to safely lead a beach clean, managing risk, conducting daily hazard assessments and things like that. It will also include first aid training as well. And then it will include practical sort of on-the-job training, as it were. So that will involve shadowing Sussex Wildlife Trust staff, probably me, at beach cleans until you feel comfortable running your own. So that will include, learning how to safely lead a group, putting that health and safety training that you will already have had into practice on the ground with a group. And also learning how to conduct those beach litter surveys as well, as I said, which is a very important part of the role, and also how to instruct others on how to collect the data as well. Next slide, please, Jack. So this role, you will be registered as volunteers with us, and you will have continual support from us at Sussex Wildlife Trust to carry out that role. So, help with organising and getting volunteers signed up to attend your beach cleans and things like that. So with this role, we do it obviously because it includes equipment, so you will be provided with equipment, but because of that we do have a limited number of equipment kits. So if everybody on this call decided they were interested in this role, unfortunately at this point currently we can't accommodate that because we just don't have the enough equipment. So there will be an application process for this role. So in the first instance, if you are interested, then get in contact with me and I will let you know how to apply. I think Polly is going to follow up with a whole load of information after this webinar about how to apply for these different roles. And this one, what we would ideally want is for people to work in pairs. So if you don't have anyone to apply with, that's absolutely fine. What we will do is see who expresses interest or who applies, where they're based, and we'll try and pair people up as best as we can, sort of geographically. there's a number of reasons for that. This role will be sort of safer and lower risk if you do it if you are running these beach cleans in pairs, or even, I say pairs, we could even do it in small groups if you've got a small group of you who'd like to get involved. That's absolutely fine as well. And I think it will just be also a better experience for you if you have sort of that peer support while going through the training and then running beach cleans. So yeah, that's all the information I have so far. Back to Polly.
Yep, back to me. Okay, yes. So with Ella's role, yeah, we put some core funding in for this. Please get in touch with Ella if you're interested. We need to see who's interested, where you are, how we compare people up, and how we can fund it. I think Ella's dream is just having a Sussex Wildlife Trust trained beach clean leader on every 100-metre patch of the Sussex coast. So she has big ambitions for this. So yeah, please do get in touch, even if it's just an inquiry at this stage. Okay, so those are our 3 roles. I'm going to hand over to Nikki, who's been monitoring the Q&As, to see if we have any questions. Nikki.
Thanks, Polly. Yeah, we've got lots of questions coming, but do keep them coming in as we go. The first one was actually just a nice comment to say that they've already signed up. So fantastic. That's good. A question for Jack. Will the campaigning training cover social media and kind of preferred social media?
It's a good question. So there'll be elements within like kind of the variety of different sort of topics that we'll kind of cover. A lot of it will be sort of centered around the different tools that you can utilize when it comes to campaigning for particular sort of aspects of it. So not to go into too much detail about it, but there will be ways in which you can get involved with local government, whether that be through like putting and submitting in responses to consultations, or trying to sort of get in touch with your local councillor and going down sort of council committee routes, and so I think a big part of that as well is trying to sort of create a bit of a campaign on things like social media platforms, and how you can get in touch with the right people and try to sort of advocate for change, to get in touch with your MP, or like kind of putting their at in certain things for centered around your campaign. So there will definitely be those sorts of elements within that will be like sort of some of those tools that you can utilize. If there's a lot of appetite for it, though, there is the potential in the future to have a bit more of a bespoke webinar all around like kind of social media, because it's a huge space to navigate, and all sort of different intricacies that are involved with various different platforms as well. So so there'll be elements of it, but yeah, if there is the appetite for it, I'm sure we can kind of come up with an idea for a webinar that's sort of dedicated towards that, and sort of the best ways to use that as a resource in the right ways as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. Another question we've had, somebody really keen says, can I just sign up to one of these roles, or, is it possible to sign up to more than one, or is it only one per individual? So I think that's to Polly.
You can sign up to all 3 if you want. Yeah, that's marvelous. There's no restrictions. Yeah, that's an easy one to answer. If all 3 appeal to you, brilliant. Or if 2 of them appeal to you, that's also equally as brilliant. So no, there's no restrictions.
Fantastic, thank you. Polly, this might be another one for you. I mean, we've had a few kind of questions coming in asking about specific habitat advice and specific campaign advice, and we're obviously not going to be able to go into all of those examples tonight. But if people if people want specific habitat advice or campaign questions, what's your advice to them generally, please?
So the campaigning, well, and the habitat advice, it wasn't going to be specific. So if somebody had let's think of an example. If somebody was looking to look after their local orchard, for example, or their local churchyard, the training that Hugh's giving is more of a general training around how you can set up your group and how you can, do the survey work. So we wouldn't be giving specific habitat advice. However, having said that, again, we want to co-create some of this training. So if people were saying, well, you know, we're really interested in wildflower meadows, or we're interested in, you know, Himalayan balsam or something like that, then we would try and accommodate those very specific types of needs. The same with Jack and the campaigning. We wouldn't be specifically doing training on how to campaign about something very specific, because we could have 100 people, and every one of you could have a different thing you wanted to campaign on. But I think if people join, and then if we start seeing common themes, we will try and accommodate that in the training, definitely. But like I say, it's too wide for us to be very specific when we start. But it might be that you're campaigning against something that Sussex Wildlife Trust is as well, in which case then that would be a nice joining of ideas. Does that answer the question, hopefully? Hopefully.
Yeah, thanks, Polly. And there's other ways out there to get in touch with us about specific habitat advice that the team will give to groups.
Yes.
And you know, also the idea is, like Hugh was saying, that you're joining part of a network here. So, you know, if you've got a specific campaign that you're wanting to do, there might be other people that are also these champions that are wanting to join you. So it's just a really good way to find out from other people as well.
Yeah, and we do go out and visit groups. So I mean, obviously, again, it's about resources, but you know, if people are part of this network and we're getting requests to visit people, we will try and accommodate some visits, but I just don't want to overpromise when there's only 3 of us. But like you say, we can direct people to advice and support on our website for certain habitats as well.
Brilliant, thank you. We've had a couple of questions around the beach clean one, Ella. So I'll just try and ask a couple of questions together. So somebody's saying that they already know of a group that's running beach cleans, and you know, perhaps they could collaborate with them in their role as a wild beach clean leader, and then also asking if you're in contact with Leave No Trace at Brighton, which I know we are.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. So yeah, to answer the last question first, yes, we are in contact with Coral, and yes, there are a lot of beach clean groups up and down the Sussex coast already. So, you know, that is another option if people just want to join beach cleans, to go and find one of those groups. We also currently run one volunteer beach clean a month at the moment. Obviously they're kind of spread along the Sussex coast, so we move locations, but obviously the idea of this role is to really just massively increase that capacity for collecting the litter off beaches and collecting that data. So yes, that's why we want to do this role. And what was the other question about? Oh yes, so yeah, you know, so a group who are already doing a beach clean, and could you use this role to help support them? I think potentially, yes, I think that could be viable. If you are interested in doing that, get in touch with me and we can discuss how that could possibly work. I think that could, yeah. Obviously, if it's going to help increase the data collection, then that's perfect. So yes, please do get in touch.
Brilliant, thank you. And then a couple of questions for you, Hugh. So first, I'm interested in the Wilder Community Leader Training. How many sessions will there be for this?
Well, there are 5 current modules, so there will be 5 sessions and a mixture of online stuff and in-person sessions. So obviously the day on reserve and the ecological surveying days will be outside. And as I say, at the moment, I anticipate we'll run 2 of each of those. So there'll be two reserve days and 2 surveying days, and the rest of the training will be online.
Great. And there's a couple more as well. I'll just ask these together.
Can I just add, sorry, can I just very quickly add that the online sessions, very much like this, will be recorded. So if you are signed up to any of these groups and you can't attend an online session, then we will record them and we will make them available to the group. because you know that's the joy of online training, really, isn't it? People can catch up. Sorry, just to jump in.
Yeah, no, that's great, and that's answered another question about what
Oh.
what happens if I can't make any of the sessions. So that's really helpful. But there's another couple of questions around this. On one, is it only for setting up new groups, or can you sign up if you've already got an existing group? Does it support existing groups as well? So that one's for you, Hugh. And then there's another one about kind of how do I know what's going on in my area? So you touched on network, so maybe if you could just say a bit more about the network as well. Thanks.
Well, certainly in terms of network, a good starting point was we do have a map of community projects on our website, which lists a large number of community projects, community conservation projects across the whole county. And very much the aim of that was to provide people with information about what they can do locally, rather than thinking that they may need potentially to travel a distance to one of our reserves. There's lots of stuff going on other green spaces around the county. So that community map is on our website. And in terms of new or established groups, it's a combination of both. I think there should be hopefully useful information for those involved with established groups, as well as those who are completely new to it and maybe have seen a patch of land that they think could, it would be great to get involved with. And I think particularly that first one, we're looking at talking about landowners, I think there'll be something certainly there for completely new groups, because as I say, the established groups will have already got a relationship with the landowners. But over the course of the 5 modules, I'm confident there should be something useful for both new and established groups.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. I think we're just about running out of time, but there's just one more question, which I think is a really good one to end on, and that's how do I sign up to this?
I can answer that one. So what I will be doing, and I'm just adding that link to the map into this email. So when tomorrow or the next day, anybody who signed up to this webinar will receive an email, a post-webinar email, and it will have the links and the instructions on how to sign up to any one of these 3 activity roles. I will add the link in there as well for the local groups, because that's an easy thing to do and someone's just shown some interest. But if in doubt, I will also put our team email in there as well. So if you get confused or can't remember or have a question that wasn't answered, please just contact us on our team email, and we all monitor that. So we will hopefully get back to you. So I will make sure that that email goes out and everybody gets hopefully as much information as they need. So I think it's just left for me to say thank you so much for showing an interest in this. Obviously, when you have something like this and you're launching it, you're thinking, is there going to be an appetite for it? And the numbers we've had signing up to this webinar is over 200. So we are really thrilled that we are providing something that is needed and useful, and we're just really excited to be able to get to meet you and help you, whether you're campaigning or beach litter cleaning or leading a local group. So yeah, we genuinely really thank you for showing an interest and coming to the webinar, and we hope to meet you all properly soon.